Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's game hunting trip brought back a mix of really interesting finds from different console generations. Let's dive into the games I recently picked up to add to the collection and take a closer look at 4 games from the recent pickups. Each one has its own unique story and history, so let's dive in and find out what I picked up this week. Alright, so before we jump into that 4-game feature, let's look at all the games that I picked up this week and that I'm adding to the collection, and that'll end up on these shelves right behind me. And that first game is going to be a handheld game, and it's going to be for the Nintendo 3DS. And it's Adventure Time, Explore the Dungeon because I don't know. Next up is going to be a series of PS4 games, and the first one is Shenmue 3. Next, I added Balan Wonderland. After that, I added Stick It to the Man. I then picked up Everybody's Golf, because I love a good golf game. Next, I've got a PS3 game, and that's going to be Black Site Area 51. Next, let's take a look at some PS2 games, and that first one is going to be 187 Ride or Die. I also happened to pick up a couple of Japanese import games while I was out doing my game hunting, and so that first game is going to be Everybody's Golf. I also managed to pick up Everybody's Golf 4. The next set of games I picked up are actually sealed games for the Xbox One, and that first one is going to be Deus Ex Mankind Divided. I also picked up NHL 21. And after that, I found Watch Dogs for the Xbox One. Next, I picked up the lone GameCube game for this haul, and that's going to be 007 Everything or Nothing. Now I've got some Xbox 360 games to showcase, and that first one is going to be Prototype. And of course, since I picked up Prototype, I managed to find Prototype 2 for the Xbox 360. And the last Xbox 360 game that I added to my collection this week is going to be The Last Remnant. And the last game for this week's collection is actually going to be an OG Xbox game, and it's going to be The Godfather the Game. Next, let's look at those 4 games a little bit closer that I wanted to feature in this video and showcase for you guys. So for our 4-game feature, let's start with Shenmue 3 on the PS4. This one's a fascinating pickup because of its long journey to release. Shenmue 3 was one of the most successful Kickstarter video games ever, raising over $6 million from fans who had been waiting nearly 2 decades since Shenmue 2. Series creator Yu Suzuki returned to direct it, bringing back the same slow-burn storytelling style the series is known for. Even though it finally came out in 2019, Shenmue 3 deliberately kept a lot of the old-school design elements, which split fans. Some loved the nostalgia, others felt it hadn't evolved enough. The game was published by Deep Silver and remains a cult-followed title, especially among collectors who want to complete the legendary Dreamcast PS4 saga. Next up is Stick It to the Man on the PS4, one of the quirkier pickups I've had in a while. The game is a platform adventure hybrid where the main character, Ray, gains a giant pink spaghetti hand sticking out of his head, letting him interact with the world in bizarre ways. It was developed by Zoink Games, a Swedish indie studio, and it really stands out for its cardboard cutout sticker book art style. The game's humor has been compared to Double Fine's titles, with a very offbeat sense of comedy and clever writing. It first launched digitally, but the physical PS4 version became a nice collectible, since indie physical releases were rare back then. Moving on, I picked up Prototype for the Xbox 360. This is one that's an action-packed open-world game that made a big splash when it was released in 2009. You play as Alex Mercer, a man with shape-shifting abilities who can consume enemies to gain their memories and powers, a unique mechanic at the time. Prototype was often compared to Sony's Infamous, since both came out around the same time and featured super-powered anti-heroes in an open-world city. The game was praised for its chaotic combat and freedom, letting players sprint up skyscrapers, glide across the city, and unleash devastating attacks. It was successful enough to get a sequel, Prototype 2, and even today, fans debate which series, Prototype or Infamous, did the super-powered sandbox better. And last up this week is going to be 187 Ride or Die for the PS2. Definitely a more unusual pickup. 187 Ride or Die. The game is a mix of street racing and third-person shooting, with players blasting rivals while racing through urban environments. Its title, 187, is a slang term for murder in the California Penal Code, which immediately gave it a gritty, controversial vibe. The soundtrack featured hip-hop artists like Gorilla Black, and the whole presentation leaned heavily into early 2000s street culture. While it wasn't a critical success, its unusual concept makes it a fun curiosity for PS2 collectors who want something different from their usual racing saga. So that's the haul for this week. Until next time, happy gaming!